Welcome students to our today's class. We are on our fourth class of electricity and magnetism, and today's contents are shown in these slides. Electromagnetic induction, we have already studied about it, but still we are going to recall because it is related. And our main topic for today is generator, and in the generator we are going to learn about basic two types of generator, AC generator and DC generator, and we'll also recall about how to increase the magnitude of induced current. So now, before proceeding to our main topic, let me show you these two. One is an image and another one is a short video. Can you see any difference between these two videos or pictures? Can you see any difference between these two? Okay, so before we talk about the difference, let's look at the similarity. In the first circuit, you can see there is a bulb and it has power in it. We can see the color is yellow. In second also there is bulb and the power is there, but it's like sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off, but there is power, right? Now what is the main difference? I think you have already figured it out. Yes, the main difference here is on the first circuit diagram, source is present. What is source? From where the circuit gains the voltage. See, this is the source in case of this circuit. Whereas here, there is no source. Although there are similar components, some of the components are similar, we can see a very huge difference between these two. One has source, which is obvious. We know that with the help of source, we can power on the bulb. In second case, what is happening here? To be more clear, let me show you another case. Can you see the difference here? When the magnet is entering the coil, you can see the galvanometer is showing some sort of deflection, right? When it stops, there is no deflection. The needle comes back to its original place. So what is happening here? When the magnet is moving, and when the coil is in the magnetic field and when the magnet starts to move, the magnetic flux starts to change. So when magnetic flux starts to change, there is induced current in the conductor, which is detected by the galvanometer. This we studied in our previous class. We studied about electromagnetic induction, and electromagnetic induction is simply the process of inducing electromotive force in a conductor when there is a change in magnetic flux which is linked with that conductor. This is the process, this is the principle of electromagnetic induction. Simply the electromotive force is being generated. What does this force do? It pushes the electrons throughout the conductor, which in return induces current in the conductor. So, we studied about electromagnetic induction in our previous class as well. We looked at some of the examples as well, and it is said that it is widely used in power generation, but we do not know that, do we? Well, we'll see about this line, widely used in power generation, how and what is the principle behind this. We'll look at it. Let's go to our next slide, which is again telling about electromagnetic induction. I think you have been quite bored about the same term again and again. But now we are going to do a demonstration of the electromagnetic induction. Here the materials used will be a magnet, a conductor, and a galvanometer. So from this you have to guess the observation. What will we observe from this demonstration? Okay, so now let's go to the demonstration side. Okay, so here we have our materials for the demonstration. Here we have a bar magnet. Here we have a galvanometer, and here it is a coil of wire. So basically this is a naked copper wire which has been wrapped around by thread. However, it is not an insulated wire. It is not a proper insulated wire. So here we are using a galvanometer. I think you have already seen one before. So this galvanometer, what does it do? It detects the very minimum amount of current as well. So since we are on the topic electromagnetic induction, and we want to see the detection of current in this wire by changing the magnetic flux. We are trying to do that. So if there is change in magnetic flux along with this wire near this conductor, what happens? According to our theory, it should be that some current is induced in this wire. Okay, we will see that if the current is being induced or not, because this galvanometer detects very minimum amount of current as well. This galvanometer can be used as an ammeter or voltmeter with by using suitable resistors. However, at the moment we are going to use it to just detect the induced EMF. Okay, so can you guess what happens if I enter this bar magnet inside this coil? Yeah, you guessed it right. So let's see what happens. Right now there is no deflection. Even if I move this wire, you can see the needle in the galvanometer is not moving. See? Okay. So now let's do one thing. Let's enter this bar magnet inside. Can you see the slight motion in the needle of the galvanometer? Yes, it is pretty clear. Means some amount of current is being generated or induced in this coil. So how can we know that it is due to the change in magnetic flux? Because see, if I move this, you can see the motion in the needle. But if I move this inside and leave it without motion, do you see any deflection in the galvanometer? No. So basically, according to electromagnetic induction, the magnetic flux must change, and that can happen only due to the motion of the bar magnet in my hand. Okay, you can see that, right? So if I do not move this, again you can see there is no deflection, which means due to the change in magnetic flux, the current is being induced in this conductor, which is detected by this galvanometer. I hope this demonstration was very helpful to you, because we were only studying theoretically. Now you can visualize it by this experiment, and it will be easy to memorize as well. Okay, so earlier almost at the initial starting of our session of this chapter, we studied that there is some magnetic effect due to current, right? So when there was when in case of conductor, if there is current passing through that conductor, there is some sort of magnetic effect around it. So whatever the effect is being generated, we must know its direction. Okay, so let's say there is magnetic field generated around a current carrying conductor. We have to know the direction of the magnetic field. So what did we use? Exactly. We use right hand thumb rule and right hand grip rule. This showed us the direction of generated magnetic field. So right now in electromagnetic induction, what is being induced? Yes, current is being induced. So we must know the direction of the current. Okay. I think you have remembered this image from our previous class, and we used Fleming's right hand rule to detect or to know the direction of the induced current. So what is this? This is simply a U-shaped magnet. On the either side you can see North Pole and South Pole. So from here a conductor was passed. Okay, so with this we know that the conductor is being passed within the magnetic field. What is the direction of the magnetic field? On our initial sessions we studied that the magnetic field lines go from the North Pole to the South Pole. So this is the direction of the magnetic field. Now if we move this conductor in upward direction, what do we have? We have two informations with us. We know that the direction of the magnetic field is this and the direction of the conductor is upwards. Now we have to know the direction of the induced current. For that, as you can see on the topic, we are still on Fleming's right hand rule. On Fleming's right hand rule, what did we do? We used our three fingers, right? We use our thumb, index finger and the middle finger. These three are set perpendicularly, and this thumb denotes the motion. In our case, the thumb denotes the not in our case, in Fleming's right hand rule, the thumb denotes the direction of the motion, which is upward in this case. What about the index finger. This index finger shows the direction of the magnetic field. Now let's see, if I place my finger in this way, you can see it sort of matches the image as shown in this slide. What is happening? Our direction is upwards, right? And the magnetic field is going from this direction to the other direction. Now this index finger shows us the direction of the induced current. So in our case, if I put this way, it resembles the image. So where do you see? This is going to the inward direction. See, if it is going from north pole to south pole, it goes from here. If the motion is upwards, the current induced is going inwards toward in this diagram. So with this, we know the direction of the current. So basically, the Fleming's right hand rule, what does it say? It is basically used to determine the direction of induced current in a conductor moving in a magnetic field. Because without magnetic field, there is no change in magnetic flux and current cannot be induced. So we stretch our right hand with the thumb, index finger and middle finger perpendicularly, as I showed you earlier. And what happens is, thumb denotes the direction of the motion, index finger shows the direction of magnetic field, and middle finger shows the direction of induced current. Now, after we have revised some sort of things or some sort of important topics from our previous class, let me show you the diagrams of these two images. Have you seen these images somewhere? I think you have seen this tool somewhere around your house or in at your office or your workplace or anywhere. Yes. So these two are generators. Earlier we told that electromagnetic induction is widely used in power generation. So while generating power, these sort of generators are being used. But we do not know it's working, so we cannot believe whatever other people say to us, right? So we have to study in detail about the generators. So the basic definition of generator is, a generator is a device which converts mechanical energy into electrical energy using the principle of electromagnetic induction. Again, we are talking about mechanical energy. It might be kinetic energy or potential energy. According to situation, it varies. So it works by rotating a coil within a magnetic field which induces an electric current. Again, this shows the principle of electromagnetic induction. And basically, there are two types of generator, AC and DC generator, which we will be studying in our today's class. So before that, let us again revise that how can we increase the magnitude of induced current. First, if we increase the strength of the magnetic field, the magnitude of the induced current also increases. In our previous class, we studied about magnetic flux. So strong magnetic field means many magnetic field lines. So if there are many magnetic field lines, the change in magnetic flux becomes high, which is our second point. If the change of magnetic flux is high, the increase of magnitude of induced current is also high. So another point is increasing the speed of rotation, which again increases the rate of change in magnetic flux. Third one, what can we do? If we increase the number of turns in the coil, or let's say the armature, again the induced current, the magnitude of the induced current is increased. Our fourth point is by increasing the area of the coil. Right? So let's say these two are the conductors. Let us suppose one has a very small area and another one has relatively large surface area. So when these two comes into account to a magnetic flux, let's say at this bar magnet, you can see the magnetic field lines. If there are imaginary lines here, we can see that less magnetic field lines are going to enter in this small area of piece of paper, right? But what if I use the coil with larger area? What happens? More magnetic field lines enter to this conductor, and what happens? The magnetic flux, the change in magnetic flux is also pretty high. Okay, so another one is by using a coil with a better conductivity material. Yes, because what happens is, if the conductivity is higher in our material, the free electrons are also more, which helps them to move around more easily. Okay, now with this note, let's enter to our generator, and let's start with AC generator. Before AC generator, let me remind you, on our first class of electricity and magnetism, when we studied about alternating current and direct current, we mentioned that AC generator is also a source of alternating current. So today we will see how this AC generator works and how it produces alternating current. Okay. So let me remind, we are still in the topic electromagnetic induction. We are generating, or let's say we are trying to show the induced current when the conductor is placed in the magnetic field lines, let's say of the magnet. Okay, so here you can see magnets on the either side. You can see here is the north pole, here is the south pole. We are going to use a conductor, and for easy purpose we are going to use this coil. So now let's name them as AB and CD. This part is known as AB, this is CD. Why it is important, you will know it later. Now we are going to connect this this wire with two slip rings. The DC side will be connected to the first slip rings, and that slip ring is further being connected with a carbon brush, or let's say a graphite brush. What does it do? It helps in conduction of the electricity. Since according to our theory, this here in this coil electricity will be generated, and this carbon brush will help it to conduct on the external circuit. We'll see it after the completion of this diagram. Okay, so let's name that graphite brush as G1. Let's name that slip ring as S1. Okay, so currently CD part is being connected at S1 and G1. Now the AB part is being connected at another slip ring, and let's name it as S2, and it is again connected with a graphite brush which is known as G2 as shown in this diagram. Okay, let me again explain to you what we did. We placed two magnets so that north pole and south pole faces each other. We placed a rectangular coil here, or let's say armature, it is also known as armature. We named it as ABCD. So this AB portion is being connected to S2, which is slip ring, and this slip ring is being connected with G2 for the conduction of current. So this CD is being connected at the first slip ring known as S1, and the graphite brush connected here is denoted by G1. So further, these two brushes are connected with an external load. As you can see, this is the symbol of load. Now this is the external circuit. This is where we will try to detect the motion of the current. And how do we know the motion of the induced current? Exactly. Just earlier we again recalled about the Fleming's right hand rule, right? So we'll be using this Fleming's right hand rule to know the direction of the induced current. Okay, so let's say we are going to rotate this in clockwise direction. Okay, we are going to rotate this in clockwise direction. Now let's say from this information, let's first look at the DC side. Okay, this side, CD or DC, whatever you feel comfortable. So if this coil is being rotated here, you know, and when one, according to torque, I think you have heard about torque, right? Rotating force, when this part goes down, this part is in the upward direction. So first we will solve this part. From CD, we know that the motion is downwards, right? So the motion is downwards. What is the, among these three fingers, which finger shows the motion, the direction of the motion? Exactly, the thumb shows the direction of the motion. So this thumb is going downwards for now, okay? And magnetic field, you remember from earlier, right? It always goes from north to south pole. So the magnetic field line goes in this direction, correct? Now let's see the magnetic field. Which finger shows the magnetic field? Exactly, the index finger. Now let's see, this is going downwards, right? This magnetic field is going to this side, right? So now what does this index finger, what does this middle finger show you? It shows the direction of the induced current. If you use this rule, you will see that the current flows in downward direction for DC part. Okay, so although you feel like the current will go again downward in the AB side. Let's look what it happens on the AB side, because since the direction of motion is different, obviously the direction of the induced current is also different. You can use it by your right hand Fleming's rule. You can know it by the right hand Fleming rule. Okay, now let's go to the other side. The motion is upward. Why? Because in torque, when one side goes down, other side comes in the upward direction. So earlier the motion was in downward direction. Now what happens? The motion is in the upward direction. The magnetic field, the direction of the magnetic field is again the same, which is in this direction, right? So now with this, if you again use Fleming's right hand rule, you will see that the current shows that it is moving in the which direction. If you do this, you will be able to visualize. This is the direction of the motion upward. This is the direction of the magnetic field lines. Now this is going inward, right? So in this case, the current is going in this direction, in the upward direction. So with this, we know that. Now let's see, the current in DC is going downward, which is connected to G1. Okay, let's forget about the slip rings for the moment, because we know S1 is connected to G1. So DC goes to G1 and G1 goes in this direction, meaning the direction in G1 is this way. Whereas in case of AB, you can see the current is going upward, so it will, the direction on the G2 is quite opposite than this one. Okay, so this is the case when it does its half turn. Now what happens on the other half turn? Look, at the beginning what happened? DC was going down, AB was going up. So when it reaches at this position, when it becomes totally almost vertical, what happens now? The direction is quite opposite now. What happens now? The AB goes down, right? And what happens? DC comes up. Let's visualize that in our another image. See? Now, if the rotation is still on the same direction, let's look. The AB portion reaches on this part, right? Earlier AB was here and DC was on the right hand side. Now AB is on the right hand side, DC is on the right hand side. Remaining, everything is same. See, AB is still in slip ring 2, right? AB is still in slip ring 2 and DC is still in first slip. The first slip is still on the G1 and second slip is still on G2, as you can see here. Now the motion is ongoing still. Although all these parameters are same, what is the difference here? These sides have been altered. Everything is same, only the difference is the side alteration. Now AV is, now let's look at the induced EMF on the AB side. There is alteration of the motion, right, according to its side. Now let's say on the AV, now the motion is in downward direction. Magnetic field, the direction of the magnetic field is in on this direction, right? Okay, so with this, if you use right hand Fleming's rule, the direction of the induced current is downwards. You can say it is totally similar. Electromagnetic induction, using Fleming's right hand rule to know the direction of the induced EMF, this is totally similar. Now let's look at the DC side. Magnetic field lines, you can see the direction of the magnetic field lines, again similar. You can see the motion and the direction of the current. If you use Fleming's right hand rule, you will be able to know the direction of the current. It is again similar. See, everything is similar, so why are we doing this? Now the major difference is, earlier this part was connected to G1, so the current flow went from this to G2, right? Right now what is happening? This AB part is not connected to G1, it is connected to G2. So now earlier the arrow was turning this side of G1, but now the arrow turns towards that side of G2. Why? Because this AV is connected to G2. Now with that note, we know that the current enters the external circuit from G2. So you can see, although everything seems to be similar on this account, the direction of the current in the external circuit can be visualized very easily. So in this way, on the first half cycle, the direction of the current is this, and on the second half cycle, the direction of the current is this. Okay. So, according to this, since the direction of the current is being reversed or alternated, what does it mean? It means that AC or alternating current is being generated by AC generator. Okay. So, in this portion, these slip rings are very important. You will know why when we enter to the DC generator portion. Okay. Okay, now let's look at a small video where you can see this galvanometer is being connected to this circuit, right? This armature is being connected with this circuit. You can see the galvanometer on the first cycle goes towards right direction. If you look at the other half cycle, it goes to its opposite direction, meaning the direction of the current is being reversed. So, if the direction of the current is being reversed, it means there is alternating current being generated. Okay. So, summarizing it, the working of the AC generator is it simply works by rotating a coil inside a magnetic field which induces an alternating current, and it is connected to slip rings and brushes as we saw earlier, which again transfers the induced current to an external circuit. And the frequency of current depends on the speed of rotation and the number of coils. On our first session, we again already learned something about frequency in alternating current, right? So, the number of turns that it completes in 1 second is said to be the frequency of that circuit or that source. So, in context of Nepal, it is 50 Hz, meaning the source in the AC generator, or let's say the coil inside the AC generator, it rotates 50 times, it completes 50 cycles in 1 second. Now we have a basic concept about AC generator. Let's look at the working model of DC generator. There are lots of similar things here, but one very important difference due to which our circuit is going to generate direct current in this case. Let's see. From here it's similar, right? Earlier also we placed two magnets where the poles were facing each other, north pole and south pole, and we used the armature, or let's say a rectangular coil, and named it A, B, C, D. Again we'll be looking at both the sides. The major difference is, in case of AC generator, slip rings are being used along with the carbon brushes. In case of DC generator, this type of rings are used, and they are called slit rings, S-L-I-T, slit rings, or let's say split rings as well. On another standard term, it is also known as commutators. So, commutators, its main function is to reverse the direction of the motion which causes the flow of the current in certain direction. So, now let's again try to find the direction of induced current in DC generator. We will rotate again on the same direction. If it's rotating on the same direction, most probably everything is similar to that of AC generator. We will connect it with the carbon brushes with an external circuit, as you can see here, with the load. And now let's say the motion on the DC side is downward, and the direction of the magnetic field from north to south pole. Now, if you use Fleming's right hand rule, you will be able to know that the direction of the current is towards us. Now, that is for DC. Why? Because when DC goes down, when the motion of the DC is down, the motion of the AV is upwards, meaning the direction of the current is also changing in case of AB. Now, let's visualize it. If the direction of the AV is upward direction, the magnetic field is still the same, then the direction of current is exactly opposite to that of DC, which is in the upward direction. So, from here we know that if the current from DC is going in this direction, obviously the current is moving from B2 to B1, right? So, this will be our image. Okay, so till here it is quite similar. Besides a very major difference, we are using split rings here in case of slip rings, okay, or let's say commutators in DC generator are very important instead of slip rings in that of AC generator. Now let's see what happens if the rotation continues, and let's see what happens in the second turn. It's again the same, it is being connected, it is simply we are trying to show the other half rotation. What happens in the other half rotation? AV comes to right hand side and DC reaches the left hand side, right? Now again the same, we can see it, all everything, the setup is similar. Now let's look at what happens to the side AB. So the motion is downwards, the magnetic field is again the similar, so the current goes in the downward direction. What about in DC? The motion is going in the upward direction, magnetic field is same as that in AV, so the current is going in the upward direction. Now if you look at these slit rings, although it has rotated, what is happening? This AB part is being connected to now S2 and B2. In earlier AC generator, the connector in the slip rings were the same, right? But right now they have exchanged their position in case of commutators. Earlier AB was connected to S1, now AB is connected to S2. So when these split rings has been reversed, or let's say when they change the position, they do not change the direction of the current. Now still you can see the direction of the current is in same direction. So with this, they will complete one complete cycle without changing the direction of the current. So the current which does not change its direction is known as direct current. Since it generates direct current, we call it as DC generator. And here you can see earlier the galvanometer, it showed deflection on both sides, right? But right now, although the rotation is being completed, you can see the deflection is only in single direction, which is on the right side of the galvanometer. So the working is similar but a bit different due to the use of commutator, as you can see on the slide. So now with this, now you have the information about DC generator and AC generator. With this, we can sort out some differences on the following basis. What is the output current of AC generator? It is alternating current, and the output of DC generator is direct current. What are the key components being used here? I told you the major difference, right? So in AC generator, we used slip rings. In DC generator, we use commutator, which makes a vast difference on the whole system. Talking about efficiency, AC generator is more efficient for long distance power transmission, whereas in case of DC generator, it is not suitable for long distance transmission due to the loss of energy on the path. And voltage control, we can use transformers to easily step up or step down the voltage according to one's need, whereas in case of DC generator, it is quite difficult to change the voltage level. And talking about real life examples, AC generators are basically used in hydroelectric power plants, wind turbines, etc. Whereas DC generator, they are being used in bicycle dynamo, solar battery charging, and bicycle dynamo we have done it in our previous class, so you can compare it going back to that class as well. So with this note, let's look at this question and try to solve this multiple choice question. So a hydropower plant in Nepal uses an AC generator to supply electricity to nearby villages. Now, during peak demand hours, the engineers increase the speed of water flow over the turbine, making the generator's coil rotate faster. What effects will this have on the generator's output? So it is asking you that if you increase the speed of water flow over the turbine, creating the generator's coil to rotate faster, what happens? What is the result? Why is one doing that in a very peaky hours? So let's look at the options. Option A, the voltage and frequency will decrease. B, the generator will start producing DC instead of AC. C, the magnitude of the induced current increases. And D, the coil will experience no change in induced current. When we talked about increasing the magnitude of induced current, we used that if we increase the change in magnetic flux, we'll be able to increase the magnitude of induced current, right? So with that information, what do you think is the correct answer? Yes, you got it right. It is option C, the magnitude of the induced current increases. So with this, I'd like to leave you with this question. The question says an AC generator is used to power a small research lab in a remote village. The scientists observe that the power output fluctuates during operation. So now you have to explain how an AC generator produces electricity using electromagnetic induction. What factors can be changed to increase the output voltage of an AC generator? And lastly, if the generator's coil rotates at a speed twice the original speed, what happens to the frequency and magnitude of the induced current? You have to explain this mathematically using Faraday's law. So try to solve these questions and study well. We shall be continuing our session on the next class and we will catch up soon. So study well. Thank you.